This is Larry London. It's the Voice of America, Border Crossings on Music Alley, and on the line with us right now from New York City, getting ready for the third album, which is coming out soon, called Native. We're talking with Ryan Tedder of OneRepublic. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Congratulations on all the great successes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I want to ask how the new album Native is different from Waking Up.
It's pretty remarkably different. I mean, it's been 3.5 years since the last album, so I mean, the world's changed. You know, we've changed. People that were freshmen in high school and college are now graduating. So it's like, you know, kind of a new chapter for, I think, a lot of different reasons. Sonically, it is a lot more up-tempo and driving. It's very experimental. It's an album about being human. You know, it's written by humans for humans. So it's very much, yeah, it's a very, the lyrics are very visceral and I think relatable, and it's, I hate using the term honest because that's such a cliche thing that artists say. This is my most honest moment, you know, but it is the most honest I've ever been lyrically. And the album comes with a past that we managed to create that guarantees a lifetime of happiness and prosperity.
Now, when you were in school and you were studying advertising, and then you made the decision to get out. Now, since that time, you've accomplished so much, and you've done so many wonderful things with your music and helping save the children and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious to know if you had to pick your favorite part of this business. Is it the producing, the songwriting? Is it performing, or what would you, if you could single something out, one thing out?
You know, I think that my favorite thing is walking out onto a stage that's sold out in a venue that's larger than you thought you could sell out. That's kind of one of those moments where you're like, whoa, we're in this city. I had no idea it was this big and the fans are this crazy. That's probably one of the greatest feelings on earth. It's pure energy. If you could bottle that and sell it, it would be the biggest drug in the world. And I would say second to that is there are certain moments around the world when you're sitting in a hotel room in whether like Hawaii or Paris, and you're writing a song and you're thinking, what am I doing? This is my job. I'm sitting in Paris at a cafe listening to music, writing lyrics. And those are moments that I love too. So yeah, those are probably my two favorites.
Feel any pressure whatsoever? You work with an album like 21 for Adele, and then you have to then come back to OneRepublic and create another album for your band.
Yeah.
And then that album is done so well. And do you feel any pressure there to say, wow, I gotta, I've set pretty high standards, now I have to reach those standards?
Well, originally I was going to call the album 22, just so I could literally one-up Adele. And my goal is...
You are a funny guy.
Is it aspiring to say my goal is to sell 10% of what 21 sold? The irony is that would still be a massive number. So, I mean, the pressure's there. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I can say categorically this is the best album we've ever put out and the best thing that I've been associated with as a writer-producer. And so far, the fan reaction and even the critic reaction, people who laid into me 4 years ago for one reason or another now have turned and actually showing us some love. So whatever we're doing, hopefully it just continues to work. I think word of mouth is the single biggest, most important thing that an artist or a band can have, because we're all making songs and putting out albums. So what can you say, how can you say it differently, and how do you connect emotionally with the listener the most? And that's my goal, is to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up at some point, and hopefully this album does that.
Now, when you write a song, can you tell it's a hit when you're writing it or after you've put it together? Can you say this is a hit?
You know, I think at this point, I hope so, that I can determine, at least to some degree. But sometimes you're wrong, to be honest. And the thing about hit songs are, there's a myriad of different reasons why a song that truly is a hit doesn't become a hit. Timing, bad promotion, there's a bad video. There's all these things that can go into a song working or not working. And inversely, you can take a song that's just okay, but if you have some type of social media or cultural TV moment attached to it, it can explode and become bigger than you ever thought. So I'd like to say that I have a decent idea of what songs should be our singles. So if the stars align, then they become hits, and then I end up speaking to people such as yourself.
Well, we always enjoy speaking to you. It's been a number of years, so we're glad you're back with us. The album Native, give me some surprises on the album.
As I said earlier, we worked in Paris for a little bit with the band Phoenix. Their producer, Philippe Sedar, has done stuff with Kanye, Phoenix, Beastie Boys. We did 2 songs with Philippe. And we also did, our lead single, If I Lose Myself, was inspired by Swedish House Mafia. I did a show with them at Coachella last year and was so blown away by their set. I wanted to do one song that kind of captured that energy of the whole electronic movement, but still sounded like a band. And one of Sebastian's, from Sebastian Ingrosso from Swedish House Mafia, one of his proteges, Alesso, just remixed the song, and it's exploding right now. So that's pretty cool. I mean, aside from that, we worked with Jeff Basker. I'm sure you're familiar with the band Fun, and one of the bigger songs on the record called Can't Stop, I did with Jeff Basker. And then also my friend Benny Blanco, who's done his list of big songs. I mean, he did Rihanna Diamonds, and that's like the 12th of 12 number ones he's had in a row. The guy's, he's like 24 in total prodigy and just the coolest guy ever. So there was a lot more collaborations on this album. And we recorded a big chunk of it in Greece. On Santorini. So that's another interesting thing. We used some local Grecian artists as well.
Now you certainly have the golden touch, whatever it is, whatever the it factor that people are looking for, you certainly have it. You've written hits for many other people and for your own bands. Now you're going out on the road, I assume, for the Native album. You're going to get out and do a tour?
And the U.S. will be kicking off, I think, mid to late July. We'll be kicking off a U.S. tour, going to hit all the major cities. And then we'll go back to Europe again and do Russia and Southeast Asia, Australia, Antarctica. I mean, we're pretty much going to hit as many places as possible.
And all of those places are watching and listening to us right now, so they need to be on the lookout. I guess your website, you'll have all the tour dates there and whatnot. So
we'll be posting everything. We find it's a lot easier to buy tickets when you know there's a concert. So.
So we're going to put all that stuff up.
How do you have time for your family? I know you just expanded the family not too long ago, a year or two ago.
I try not to go more than 2 weeks, and sometimes it ends up stretching to 20 days, but I try not to go more than 2 weeks at a time without seeing them. And usually, you know, then I'll have stretches of months where I'm home for months on end and I get to be around them all.
And you have a son, right? It's a son?
I do have a son.
And he's about 2 now, 2, 3, something?
2.5 years old.
Yep.
And the coolest little kid I've ever hung around in my life. He's absolutely amazing.
Any songs inspired by him?
There's a song on the album called I Lived.
And I wrote it specifically as a letter to him, just on acoustic guitar, and turned it into kind of a mantra for just, again, about being human. And it's kind of like what you would say to your son or your daughter. It's just saying, at the end of the day, once you've lived life and you've kind of made it to the end, I hope you look back and you can say this, and I hope you can look back and you can say this, and that's really what the song is about.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And thank you for giving us the inside track on that, because I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that, but thanks for sharing that bit of personal information. It's always a pleasure to talk to Ryan Tedder, and you guys are fantastic. One of my favorite bands. You're obviously one of the best songwriter producers in the business these days. That's why everybody wants a piece of Ryan Tedder. So thank you so much for giving of your time to the Voice of America, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see you when the tour comes through D.C.
I would love that. I love D.C.
All right, sounds good. I'll hold you to it. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. Take care.
The album's Native, and this is the Voice of America. I'm Larry.